Welcome back, everyone, to the Broncos' finest podcasts. I'm your host, Sean, and today we're going to be going through the Broncos 2023 season so far. We just passed round 14, coming up to round 15. We've got a game up against the Knights on Saturday at 5:30 Queensland time. Very much looking forward to this game. We're sitting in a great position, sitting top of the ladder, tied with Penrith, which I could have never thought that at the start of the season. Absolutely unreal to be sitting in that position. Most wins or tied most wins of the season so far, with 10 wins, only 4 losses as well too. And we still haven't had any of our buys yet. So we're sitting in prime position to be finishing 100% in the finals, almost. I'm going to say. I know we probably could have said that last year as well, but we're sitting in a much better position this year. I think we look much stronger as a team. And overall, I think we just sort of seem to be cruising along, even with a few of our players out. I know Reynolds has missed a couple of games here and there. We still looked pretty strong. Even in defeat, none of them really looked like we were crumbling like the years we have previously. I think even up to last year, at the end of last year, when we were on our run, we were looking pretty good for top 4. There's still a few of those wins, like we just didn't look like a unit, like a team. This year, honestly, much more complete. I'm much more confident in the side to be able to take it all the way to the finals. All we need to do is get there, and we give ourselves every chance. Obviously, top 4, we'd much prefer that, but we'll see how we go. Today, I just wanted to go through a few of the stats. I think sort of more how the team has performed better than other seasons, how it's looking, and how we feel as if we're giving ourselves every chance, potentially go all the way this year, but we'll do as well as we can. First of all, I'm not expecting a premiership. Honestly, I think we're going to give ourselves a good chance to get there. But at the end of the day, we haven't made the finals in a few years now. I just want to make sure that we can get there first and be a scary team. Be a team that not other teams want to verse in the finals. And I think we're definitely on our way to getting there. If we look at the wins that we've had so far throughout this year, I think we can quickly run through them. Round 1 against Penrith was unreal. I think our defence stood up in that game and really sort of showed through. I think that just sort of set our season up there. I know obviously we're playing Penrith slightly sort of, just not really a combined unit yet. Round 1, everyone's a bit all over the place. But if you can show up in terms of defence in round 1, you'll normally get the job done. And so very happy overall, obviously, with round 1 there and how we went there. We came into round 2 against the Cowboys. Cowboys is always just that team. No matter how bad the Cowboys are going, they always seem to turn up against us. Managed to get the job done there too. Definitely looked a little bit better as an attacking unit in that game as well. I know it took a while for us to really sort of get through and combine as a team in that game. Most of our tries were scored in that second half, or at least from the 39th minute onwards. So that's sort of where we sort of started to sort of shine there. I think it was either one half or the other for the start of the season. We never really put together an 80-minute performance in those early rounds. And the run kept going. It ended the same thing in the Dragons game, round 3. It took until I think it was the last 20 minutes where we really started to show through. Reece Walsh really came through in that game and really performed well. I think that was his breakout game, the back end. So very, very happy with how that went, and we know how well he's done since that game, and we hope that he can continue to perform like that going forward. Came up against the Dolphins, really tough game. I think that was a scary watch, that one. I really wanted to beat the Dolphins. Didn't want to lose them for the first time playing against them, but really happy with that result we came out in the end. I know both teams were a bit battered and bruised, losing a few players and stuff. So I know it was a bit of a tough grind, but it was great to see the boys get up the end. I think that really helped with the confidence. I think if we lose that game, it's a bit of a different story in the rounds afterwards. And then we come up against the Tigers, and again, it's a similar story. We never really put together probably our most complete 80-minute performance of the season so far. But there was still a bit of he was still a bit iffy about it in some ways. I know personally I was, when I was watching the game, you had a feeling that the Tigers were there all most of the game until the end where we really sort of put them away. And that was sort of seemed to be the story of the last the first sort of few rounds when we were in that unbeaten run, which it's looked like in previous seasons before. But then that's when we started to go on a bit of a up and down streak there, I believe. That's when we got to round 6, and we lost to the Raiders. And that was a hard watch in itself there. A lot of errors, and we were making a lot of errors in the early rounds as well. A lot of drop balls, a lot of penalties given away. And that's where you sort of started to be like, is the Broncos of the last few years sort of starting to show through now? But again, at the end of the day, it was still a tight game. There weren't blowouts like there have been previously. We only lost by 1 try, and that controversial decision as well too with DePau had no chance to sort of stop and ended up kneeing Rapana in the head, I believe it was. And we could have scored off that and potentially evened that up, potentially went to golden point. But look, I think we definitely needed a loss at one point. But then we came up against the Eels. We definitely bounced back there as well too, playing pretty well. Again, I felt like it was just a game of like more than one half. Like all of our tries were scored in the first half of that game. Then Eels started to come back to it, scoring 2 tries in the second half. So again, it was another sort of like, okay, like are we there yet? Are we that sort of the strongest team in the comp? And it wasn't the case. I think even like the pundits as well too, like were sort of still writing us off at that point in that way. They weren't sort of really looking at Broncos as like a genuine premiership contender because of that reason. And next up, then that's when the Bunnies game came in. We did get blown away in that game, but we did have a few plays missing as well too. We've got to keep in mind. I believe that was the game where Reynolds went off early. I'll quickly confirm that one. I believe it was, yeah. So he only played. No, sorry, he didn't. He actually played 80 minutes, so it wasn't. We just had a bit of a clunky game overall. Payne Haas wasn't playing in that game. And then that definitely sort of showed through, where we're missing. Sorry, that wasn't. It was Ezra Mam that didn't play that game. So Ezra Mam and Payne Haas were definitely missing. Corey Oates as well wasn't playing. So we did have a few players missing in that game, and we definitely noticed it. But the Bunnies just put us to the sword, and that's when they were on their great run as well at that time. Again, that's where you sort of like started to lose a couple of games there as well, like here and there. Regardless, though, we still beat the Manly in the next game as well, 32-6. So we bounced back really well after that round 9 defeat to the Bunnies. We got our players back, and we were looking a lot more like a sort of solid unit in that game. But then again, that's when we sort of had another loss to the Storm, which is really frustrating. Anyone as a Broncos supporter, I believe, over the last 10 years or so in particular, it goes back to almost 20 years now. That rivalry with the Storm has always been there, and for us to continuously lose against them almost every single season is honestly just so frustrating. They are my most hated team, I think, out of anyone, and it's just frustrating to see us lose against them every single season. And I think this was the best chance for us to do it at Amy Park as well. And I think there was a couple of sin bins in that game, I believe. It was just very up and down. I think that game was the game that we lost Reynolds. Yeah, he only played 17 minutes. So we just didn't have anything going our way. Penalties from both sides, like there was penalties going both ways though that were just shocking. Like some of the disallowed tries and that as well too. Just both, like it was just a shocking game to watch in general. Terrible refereed game, and both teams just really giving up a lot of penalties. And then we come in back-to-back losses against Penrith the next week. I remember watching that game though, and I looked at it and I'm like, okay, we lost, yes, but we looked like really good. Like I was content with the performance. I think defense was unreal. Penrith looking really good at that point, and they just sort of struggled. Were really struggling to break our line. I believe a lot of their tries they scored. I only scored 2 tries, sorry. And they both just weren't like, I think they both had to score on the edge through Taruva there, and then Cleary's try was a bit of a clunky try as well. So defense in that game was just really solid. I was really pleased with the performance. And that's when we go on and then go beat the Warriors in the week afterwards with our like really young team. And that again really sort of just, I think that really just gave us a lot of hope, if through that origin period when we're going to be losing a lot of players, and for our young guns to come in and step up and perform as well as they did, I was just absolutely stoked with that game and very pleased there. And that's when we come up against the Sharks, and we end up doing what we did there. And I think that was probably our most complete performance of the year so far. And that's when you started to have the pundits be like, okay, like the Broncos are it this year. They are going to challenge and they are going to do everything they can to potentially try and knock off these competition heavyweights that have been there for the last few years. Obviously, Melbourne Storm and Penrith have been there just every single year. And hopefully we give them a run for their money and really challenge for that top spot. Obviously, we want to have ourselves sitting in the top four at the end of the season, and I do believe we give ourselves every chance at doing that. Obviously, your big players that are going to step up for us or have so far this year, Carrigan and Haas, have been absolutely massive. I believe when we don't have them in the side, it's a bigger loss than Reynolds at the moment. I know that's crazy to think, but we do miss Reynolds' kicking game when he's not there. Having Reece Walsh there, though, when Reynolds isn't there, I know, again, he plays fullback, but if he can move up into that front line and play as that sort of ball maker, or a playmaker, I should say, sorry, we still really look solid. He can really sort of set up, our forwards can lay all the groundwork, get us up the field, and I'm pretty confident in Reece Walsh to step up and to pretty much run that back line. He can be that link man in between, Carrigan to Walsh. And he's so smart in terms of picking out either do I play it short to the centre or do I do that long ball out to either Cobbo or Oates or Arthurs. And it's worked so well for us this year, and I do believe we can keep that going. If the odd game where Reynolds can't play, I do believe Walsh can step up. It's just if ever those two, I suppose, both weren't playing at the same time, that's when you'd start to see the sort of weaknesses come through in the back line because we don't have that link man. Or that man that's able to step up. Ezra Mann is fantastic. I love his running game, but yeah, he's just not that sort of. He's still quite young, I don't expect that of him as of yet. So I'm absolutely stoked with where we're sitting at. Even in terms of stats, the Broncos are absolutely killing it in stats so far this year. I'm going to use some of Clarkie's stats. Clarkie's the rugby league column there. Because a lot of them really show just how strong we've been so far this year. The one that he put up the other day, I think, or this today actually was the biggest one. Especially Farnworth. You don't realise how dominant he has been until you look at some of these stats. Tackle breaks, 63 for Farnworth and 63 for Walsh, leading the NRL. Up at this point, sort of top 10 in the NRL at this point. So both 6 and 7 sitting there. Line breaks, Jesse Arthurs is up there as well too. He's even played all the games, which is crazy. Reece Walsh up there for the line break assist, which we talk about. You get a line break assist almost every time someone scores off the back of one of his balls there, and he's sitting third at this point. And we dominate in the stats as well too through the middle. Payne Haas as well too, just being absolutely everywhere. Honestly, just dominating the sort of stats there, just in terms of meters gained. Farnworth sitting in second as a centre is insane. Payne Haas and Carrigan both up there. Post-contact meters, we are absolutely killing it through Payne Haas, Farnworth and Carrigan. Haas and Farnworth sitting at 1 and 2 and Carrigan sitting at 6th. And then the runs taken as well. Same three blokes, Carrigan, Haas and Farnworth. Those three coming out of our own end have honestly just been absolutely insane. And they're really sort of setting us up or allowing our backs to sort of just sit back and see what they need to do and have a look and see where they have the chance to break through. A lot of the plays, and I think a lot of us Broncos fans have noticed that they're really sort of chancing their hand a bit. They're throwing the ball around, which is okay. I don't mind it, but the odd game, it's not going to work. Sometimes it just doesn't work well, and you'll find that the odd ball will just go astray. There'll be a lot more drop balls. Forward passes, and we have seen that. I think the Raiders game really showed that the most out of anything. There was just a lot of errors and drop balls. We could have easily won that 50-20, but we ended up losing it. I think it was 16-20. Just so many errors in that game. It was frustrating to watch. But I think as the season goes on, the boys are going to continue to build more and more and look more and more confident. But overall, so far, I think we're sitting in prime position. And we've already had a pretty hard draw. You've got to look up next what we've got. We've got the Knights next. I know we should have a full side there. Then we've got our bye. If we can beat the Knights, I'm pretty sure we should be sitting top of the table almost solo at that point.
Titans after that. Titans are leaking a massive amount of points. They are also scoring a lot of points as well too. So we definitely need to make sure that we're on our game on that day, and defense is solid to stop them from scoring as many points as they are. Dolphins, again, it's going to be a hard game. I do believe we can still continue to get up there though. So that's a good few wins in a row. Then our next bye. That is pretty much the end of the origin period at that point. So if we can continue to, play it strong through there, we're going to be sitting undefeated, not undefeated, sorry, but only those 4 losses at the start. And I think we can get through this period. Then after that, it's the Bulldogs. Obviously, we know it's a winnable game. Rabbits is going to be tough in round 21, but we could probably afford a loss at that point. And I think we can still make it into the top 4. Roosters after that, again, tough game, but it is at the Gabba, which would be interesting, and look forward to sort of doing that. But again, the Roosters have been hot and cold this year. Definitely a winnable game. Cowboys, we know they've been going well this year, which is great from a Broncos point of view. But yeah, again, winnable game there as well in round 23. Eels in round 24, been a bit up and down, but again, there's every chance I believe we can get over them, especially in Brisbane. Next up then as well, we've got the bye. So another bye coming in, which is going to be so handy at the back end of the year. Then the Raiders in 26, the Storm to finish off. Oh my God, if we were to only have one loss up until that point, 1 to 2 losses even, we should be cementing top 4. Hopefully the Storm are sitting outside, lower in confidence, and we can just roll. That would be the perfect end to our season. Honestly, with the draw that we've got, top 2, I think, is definitely there. Top 4, I just want to be in the finals at the end of the day. I think we're going to get there. I think there's every chance for top 4. We should be one of the bookies' favourites to finish top 4 after looking at that draw and all the buys that we've got. That is my mid-season review. I hope everyone, let me know in the comments below where you think we're going to finish off at the end of the season. I definitely believe top 4 is easily there for us. Very keen to hear what all you have to say. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Comment below what you think, and I'll see you all in the next one.